That was a very good presentation. I know we briefly touched on some of the rotary die cutting, but wanted to introduce a very valued partner that we have in Martin Yale, and they've just recently launched an incredible rotary die cutter that really fits that smaller niche market of the digital die cutting. And we're going to be going live here with Russell Carter, the product manager of the Dyna-Cut series. So Russell, you with us live?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Absolutely. Welcome aboard.
Hey, good. Glad to be here, John. Thanks for that introduction. Can everybody see our screen there?
Absolutely. Hearing you well, seeing you well. Can't wait for takeoff.
All right, fantastic. Well, hey, I just wanted to quickly, before we start, just say, thanks to Skandacor for allowing us to come on to give this presentation, obviously in lieu of Printing United. We're really excited to be here. I do want to do some quick introductions. We have Samantha and Amanda going to be helping us out with our demonstrations today. Thank you, ladies. I am Russell Carter. I'm the Director of Marketing and Product Development for Martin Yale. Just a real quick little bit about Martin Yale. We are a print finishing manufacturing company based out of Wabash, Indiana. Our company is based at consists of 3 different lines. We have our Count line, the Dry Lam lamination series, and then the Martin Yale line of products, which is more small office folders and things like that. Our Count line is built here in Wabash 100%. So we are very proud of that fact, and the only manufacturer that can say that we have a die cutting system out of our competitors that is built right here in Indiana 100%, all the way from metal fabrication to installation and everything. I mean, we're doing it 100% here in Indiana, so pretty proud of that. Well, without further ado, I will kind of get rolling here on the Dyna-Cut. I'm going to kind of run this like I would if I was at Printing United. We want this to be interactive. We want this to show you what the Dyna-Cut can do. I'm going to let the machine speak for itself. We are going to turn the machine on and let it run and give you a visual representation of what this machine can do. But before we do that, I'm going to go through the components of the machine so we can actually talk about some of the benefits and the features that are built into the Dyna-Cut. This is a single die system. So it has 2 cylinders, but the bottom cylinder is a solid cylinder, and the upper cylinder has the magnetic die on it. And we'll see that in a second here. But starting at this end, obviously you have your pile feeder. It has an 8-inch pile feed capacity. You have your air suction feed system with an ultrasonic double sheet detection system. You have our alignment table, and you have sensors that read registration marks built in there. It's going to be kind of hard to see on the camera, but you have to take my word for it. Ours has built-in adjustable pressure gauges. It's important to kind of stop and kind of notate the adjustability of the pressure gauges that we have over our competitors. Some of our competitors come set at the factory. They're non-adjustable. And we built in adjustability to ours. And the reason why that's important is because your die life is going to be greatly extended by adjusting the amount of pressure that you are applying on the cylinder as the paper goes through. So if you're running something that is 100-pound text, you're not going to want to run the same pressure that you would with a 160-pound double thick cover. They just don't need that same force. So if you custom the pressure to the paper or the substrate you're running, it will greatly increase the life of your die. So then obviously standard with each of our machines is a conveyor system. Side note, we did take off the rear guard just so that we can see the machine in operation today and see what it works. You can see there is a plate on the magnetic upper cylinder that we're going to be running. Has a stripper mechanism. So this does strip and strip the skeleton, we call it, and puts the finished pieces stacked out on the conveyor table. So some of the specs of the machine that are worthy and important to note is that we can run, the Dyna-Cut has the widest range of GSM, of paperweight in the industry that it's able to run. I know we just got done with the standard horizon, and the die cutters were on there as well. We purposefully went after that specific spec and said we want to own the industry in that. So our spec range on GSM is down to a 106 GSM all the way up to a ridiculously thick 435 GSM. And that really comes in handy when you start running laminated sheets and things like that. So especially in today's world with packaging, it seems to be ever increasing market segment. Our machine really fits that bill. We are also the lowest priced by tens of thousands of dollars below our nearest competitor. So not only are we building these here in the United States 100%, we are also the lowest price by about $15,000 to $20,000 in most cases. And I will stop there on the price. I will defer to John Cognan on any other pricing questions, but I encourage you to have a conversation with him, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at where we are priced. So what I'm actually going to be running today, let me grab one of these sheets here. We're going to go through a bunch of examples here at the end of the demonstration after we see this run, because truly what the Dyna-Cut is capable of running, the options are endless. You're talking small packaging, you're talking perforations. We get requests all the time for perforated sheets. The Dyna-Cut cuts through those, no issues. Laminated sheets, no issues. ID badges. Like I said, the options are almost limitless as to what you can do. And when I think I've heard it all, somebody will call me and say, hey, can the Dyna-Cut do this? And we'll test it, and sure enough, it's going right through it. So I encourage you, if you have something in mind, get with John, get with the folks over at Skandacor. We'd be happy to test run anything for you and really test your specific application to see if this is the right fit for you. So what I have here, we're going to be running playing cards today. And we chose playing cards for a couple of reasons. One, I really want to show you guys the stripping of the machine. That's where this machine shines. The machine is incredibly fast. It's running up to 6,000 revolutions an hour. So it's blazing speed. And it really comes in handy when you can strip this, when you can cut and strip this and end up with a deck of cards in a matter of a second, is really where you're going to shine. So there are some other applications that don't have stripping on it. Some of the labels that we printed off that I'll show you at the end, we don't have stripping built into that because it's easier just to tear off a full sheet. Some of the small packaging design that we have does not have stripping built into it, although you could. So we really wanted to showcase this. So that's kind of what we're going to be running today. You can see there's a registration mark right there. There is a sensor on the inside. There's a couple sensors on the inside actually on the registration table that will read that sensor and kind of stages the paper to go into the Dyna-Cut. I'm going to stop real quick and just open it up to questions. I always want to stop right there before we turn the machine on. Are there any questions that came to mind as I went through that pretty quickly that I could answer real quick for you?
Nothing's come up immediately in the question box.
Yep.
Oops, sorry, hang on just one moment here.
The question that just got typed in, how long does the die changeover take? If we have time at the end, I will show you that. I can change a die out. Anybody can change a die out 3 minutes flat. It's extremely quick. It is literally, it's got 2 pins for guide pins. You take the old die off, it just rotates right off the drum, and you can put the die pins in, hang the new die, it lines up on those guide pins, remove the pins, and rotate the cylinder with your hand. It's very easy to do, and you get a perfect alignment every time that way. So good question. You're looking at about 3 minutes. Okay. I don't see any more type questions, so I think we're good. I'm going to go ahead and let's get the Dyna-Cut fired up, and we can actually see this thing in action, because that's what excites me, and that's what I think most people want to see, and I don't want to sit and talk to you all day right at you. So, Amanda, if you want to bring this around here. All right, so what we have here, we're going to set up a job in the Dyna-Cut screen here to run our playing cards. We're going to turn the batch count to on. Batch delay is currently set at 50. That's a pretty good numeric value. It's between 1 and 99, 99 being 20 seconds. So 50 is about a 10-second delay. So we'll go ahead and just keep that 10-second delay in between the decks of cards. We're going to go ahead and do our batch count goal of 4 sheets, which is currently set to. That'll give us a full deck of cards, being 16 up on a sheet for that full deck of cards. So that is how you program a job into the Dyna-Cut. Next will just be to hit the green feed button, which turns all the components on, and we will watch it run. Oops. Come down here, you can actually see the pile feeder coming up into position. We have that job before programmed in, so there's 1 sheet, 2 sheets, 3 sheets, our 4th sheet there. Waiting for the batch delay here. Here's our 1st sheet, 2nd sheet, 3rd sheet, 4th sheet. First sheet, and you can see them coming out onto the conveyor. And the scrap separator down below here. This is what you are left with, is the actual scrap. And what you have, Samantha was able to actually collect a deck of cards for us here, is you actually have a deck of cards ready to rock and roll. So, and we actually have a boxes. So a couple of the examples I wanted to pull out for you guys was some of the small packaging. So we cut this on the Dyna-Cut earlier today. We have a die that does that, and it utilizes a what they call a tri-cut for your folds. So it actually puts little slits in the back sheet of the paper. Really hard to see that on camera, but John over at Skandacor has some samples of this, I believe. If not, we can get him some to send out. But basically, a deck of cards ready to go for your customer. So the other thing I wanted to show you, a couple of different applications that you can do, not only business cards and playing cards and different things like that. This is a sheet of American flags that we had on standby. But it was a full sheet of labels, basically. It's a solid sheet, but with the Dyna-Cut, you can obviously have a kiss cut die made for all your labels and things like that. So like I said at the beginning of the demonstration, the options are endless. But Amanda, if you want to come up here real quick. So I talked about at the beginning of the demonstration, really the sky is the limit on what you can do. So you're doing, that's a laminated door hanger, if you can see that, business cards, ID badges with the lanyard holes punched out of them, pretty much the whole thing. So obviously this kit contains kiss cuts with stickers. Pretty much the sky's the limit on what you can do with the Dyna-Cut. So with that, do we have any other questions before I get to your die changeover question?
Nothing's popped up immediately. Russell,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, one may just come in. Maybe you can see it from your side.
Problems with UV coating or varnish?
We have never tested UV coating. I don't see why that would be an issue though. Just what I know about the machine and what I know we have tested. What I would suggest to you, certainly let's test that for you specifically. So if you have a piece that you would like to have tested, that you have a job that you're looking at doing, get that over to John or the Skandacor folks. they can reach out to us here at Martin Yale, and we'll run it for you, and we'll actually ship those samples back to you, so you can see firsthand what your outcome will look like. Good question.
No, I can personally say we've done one of the very first installations of the Dyna-Cut successfully. Happy client, so I can attribute that we have, you know, we're kind of calling it a new product launch, but it was launched, a soft launch, if you will, at Print 19, but product availability was around April, May of this year.
Yes.
And so it's, to us, it's kind of like still like a product launch.
Yeah.
Now that production is in full swing and a few modifications that have been very beneficial, as you mentioned, now pushing that gamut on the high side up to 435 was really good.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate a lot, and you're spot on with everything you said. You know, we are in full production. We're working through some back order logs that we have. I think we are actually just caught up very recently of all the back ordered machines that we have. So availability should not be an issue moving forward. With the little bit of time I have left, unless any other questions pop up there, I would like to show you the die itself so you guys can kind of get a quick look at that. Amanda, if you want.
Why don't you go ahead and do a die change, Russell? I think it would be very beneficial. If you can do
for sure.
Changeover.
We'll see here in a second. So literally you can see, you have your, this is a magnetic cylinder and there's the die wrapped around it. I'm just moving, this weighs about 300 pounds and I'm moving it with my hand really easily. You can see right down there, there's a line in between the two die where the end, the leading edge and the trail end of the die meet there. You're going to take your die tool. It's a very thin piece of metal that comes with the dies, and you're going to work it really easily. Go down just a little bit below that bar if you can. Go down a little bit and back. So right there, I broke the magnetic seal on that die with that die tool, and all you're going to do is you can just roll this thing backwards and pops right off. So there's the playing card outline that you can see right there. The foam that goes over that just helps release those pieces as they come off the cylinders. It just kind of acts as a little bit of a spring cushion to release die pieces. That was recommended to us by the die maker to put that on there. So we send pieces of foam with each of our dies just for that application. So for a die changeover, the first thing you need to do is obviously remove the old die. The second thing you're going to do is, you see there's guide pins here. You're going to take these little pins here, and you're going to screw on. As I'm doing that, how much time do we have there on our? I know we're pretty.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right.
You're fine, Russell. We can go a little bit into overtime.
Oh, okay.
We're good.
And now let me have that sticker die so we can change over to something else here. So we have our two guide pins set right there, and then you have corresponding pin holes on your actual die. So this is the American flag kiss cut die that we just looked at. We didn't even put foam on it because it's not an ejected piece. It's not something that was stripped. So there's really no reason to have the foam on there to help the piece because it comes out in a single sheet. But all you're going to do, actually, I need this thing right here. You're going to want to remove the stripper bar, which is this one. So the stripper bar is just set in there with set screws. I'm going to loosen that real quick. Okay. And then this stripper bar pops right out. The die actually feeds down between the sets of rollers, the rear rollers. You're going to rotate your cylinder back and line up the holes with your pinholes there. So there, the die just slapped into position. You can see right there. And then all you're going to do is actually remove the pins. And then you're just going to rotate the die on, and you can hear it slap into place. I don't know if you can see this on camera, but there are, it's not good lighting. But you can see there's registration marks on the dies themselves, one right there, one right there, and one right there for perfect alignment. So you can see that it did. And you won't be able to see that on the camera, unfortunately, but that was a very quick and simple die change. So now you're ready to run the kiss cut of the American flag. So the question that just came through that just got typed in there was, can you run the machine without that registration mark? And the answer is no. It needs that registration mark to stage the paper before it enters the cylinder so that the cylinder is in the correct location. Every sheet that enters is staged there until that correct timing is.
Russell, is that X and Y or only one direction on the registration?
So that's a good question. So the registration mark is only from, it fixes the registration and adjustability basically from the top to bottom. Side to side, you're going to come over and do 2 other adjustments. And if you want to come over here, Amanda. So we have margin adjust right here. There's a margin adjust feature that actually is the margin adjust for side to side. You will set that up prior to running your job. So you'll probably run a test sheet through, see what adjustments need to be made side to side, and then you're going to make your margin adjust there. On the inside of the machine, there's also an adjustment for skew. Once you get that dialed in, the registration mark then will take care of the up and down for you. Getting it dialed in, you're going to be good to go. I mean, the tolerances are pretty tight on the machine after you get it up and running, and print shift is pretty much taken care of after that.
The die pressure is something you need to adjust for each job. Will it damage if the operator forgets?
Okay, really good question. So the question was, is the die pressure something that needs to be adjusted for each job, and will it damage the die if an operator forgets? I'm going to answer that in 2 parts. The answer is yes. You are going to want to adjust the pressure per job. Again, so if I'm running kiss cuts, this is a very thin stock paper comparatively. I'm not going to want to have the same pressure that I would if I was running a 435 pound, 160 pound double, or 435 GSM, 160 pound double thick cover. I'm on a 160 pound cover, I might be running 1100 PSI. If I am doing the kiss cut, I may want to be running 200. So that's the first part. Yes, you're going to want to do that. Secondly, are you going to hurt the machine or the die if you forget to do that? Potentially. You're not going to hurt the machine, but you are going to shorten the life of your die. If you say you have a thin piece of paper and you don't need to have that 1100 PSI and you really crank it down and it's really too low, you are going to start to flatten the edges, the cutting edges on the die will start to get flattened. It's not going to be immediately noticeable if you do it. So if you do it once or twice, it's probably not going to be the end of the world for you. But if you kept doing that and it ran for a few hours that way, you're really going to shorten the life of your die that way. So you're going to want to it's all about training. It's all about making sure the operator understands the protocols, understands how to go ahead and get it all set up and make those adjustments. In the machine itself, in the PLC here, we actually have recommended PSI for your GSM, for your paperweight range. It'll tell you exactly, set your die to this to maximize that life. But that's a good question.
Very good. One other item here, Russell, just so you can speak on average cost of dies. So for example, those 2 common dies that you just had there, just for our clients' interest, what's the average cost of a die and how long do they last?
Yeah, question we get often. So you're looking at, depending on complexity, certainly obviously the more complex a die is, the more it's going to be. You're looking at average cost of a die is about $250. And then up from there. Some of them could be a little bit cheaper if it's real simple design, but 250 to 300 is a very, very good average. The length of the die is about 250,000 revolutions of that cylinder. So they'll last you quite a long time. Now, we say 250. If you talk to the die maker, which is who you'd be working with to get your dies made anyways, they're going to probably tell you that's a very conservative estimate. I was actually talking to Atlas Die this morning, and we kind of started off telling customers and dealers 150,000, and they actually called me and said, you're being very, very conservative at that number. So when I went to a 250, he said, you're still being conservative. And I stick by that 250. I'd rather go on the conservative side. His point was, if the operator's taking care of the die, they will last much, much longer than that. If you have a job that you only want to run this sole job, which we have customers that want to do that, the die makers, all of them, Rotometrics, Atlas Die, there's a couple big names out there. They can build you a die out of different material that are capable of 1 million plus easily rotations of a cylinder, and they're only about 50 to 60% more by doing that. So that's another option for you. If you don't want to keep messing with dies, just, get a different material made out of it. So.
No, that's great, Russell. And just wanted to reiterate the point that, so much that we've talked about short run packaging,
Yeah.
That machine that you have fits that model so well with that, I don't know, did you call it tri-crease scoring, or where it actually puts the 3 little slits?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. So if I have 30 seconds to talk on that, going back to the packaging there, I will. So in the small world packaging, in the single die systems, we just saw Standard Horizon had a single die system. And they're over 100,000. I think it's around 120,000. Duplo is a single die system. You got Morgana, Thermotype, all single die systems. How those utilize and do it, you can't get a true crease. John and I were having this conversation last week. You can't get a true crease on a single die because there's no female bottom part to that. You only have the male. So how die makers got around that and made it look really good is they utilize what's called the tri-cut. And John Cogden actually has a sample of a die that he would, I'm sure, love to show you, that shows exactly what it looks like. It's 3 very, very small lines all the way around the piece or wherever a crease needs to be. And they're at different angles, and it'll actually put little slits on the back of your piece. So you'll never see it in the print. And it'll actually fold against that. Which is what we did with the playing card box here. So you can see how good I get that. But that is actually the corner right there. I mean, there's no cracking or bending, but that's how good that looks with the tri-cut. So not something that we invented. Certainly it's an industry standard. They utilize that tri-cut to do that. So yeah, they won't be able to see it probably, but yeah, that was a good question though.
I'll just show the camera here. It's a little hard to see, but this is actually the die.
Yeah, we were going to do the same thing. I was like, oh.
It shows the 3 little knife blades in there.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's really good. Obviously on digital print, there's no cracking of any kind on the printed side. So it really is a good solution for a single die system. The dual die system that Standard was talking about earlier, or Skandacor was talking about, very expensive machines, about $80,000 more than this machine is. And they have a dual die system. So you have two dies and you actually get that true male female. But with the tri-cut, it actually is a very good solution for much, much less.
Oh, that's good. Thank you so much for that presentation, Russell. I don't see any new questions come in, but maybe any of the other panelists have any questions?
I'd just like to make a comment that I love the fact those American flag stickers you're running, a machine that's made right here in America.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it.
Well, we appreciate that. We're certainly proud of that fact as well. So yeah, we appreciate that.
We really wanted to bring you in, Russell, because we knew, this has such a fit in the market space that we're engaged with clients, where they need a lower cost die cutting solution for all the funky shapes. And,
right.
Everyone's got a guillotine to make square cornered cuts, but try and make some funky cuts and can't be done. So no, we
Exactly.
really appreciate you joining in, Russell, and the
Yep.
American-made affordable die cutter solution now.
What I'm going to leave you with is this last piece. If there's any customers out there that are interested, we can do a virtual demo one-on-one, obviously, through Skandacor. Would set that up. Just contact Skandacor. If you want to see a more in-depth run, we do virtual demos. Obviously, this is a very big machine, very hard to bring to you. But if you want to see a virtual demo or even send us samples of what you want to run, we'll actually do a virtual demo running your own pieces even better. So I'll just leave you with that. So hopefully that maybe helps you guys out there, and we appreciate being here.